Many people who are in college or in their early adulthood are engaged in a relationship. Consider this scenario. Jeremy is a recent graduate from college and has been offered a position at a well-respected medical institution. He is in a serious relationship with a girl named Michelle. She is also a recent grad and has found a job in the same area as Jeremy. They decided that they would move in together in order to save money, have a more favorable living arrangement, and because it just makes sense. Can any of you relate to this type of scenario? Today I would like to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of cohabitation. Cohabitation is when people live together in an emotionally and/or physically intimate relationship. This term is most frequently applied to couples who are not married. Cohabitation has become increasingly more prevalent over the past decade. Currently, there are around 10 to 12 million people in the United States who are cohabiting, according to Shea and Johnson of the USA Today. This is approximately 10% of the United States population. Also, 60 to 75% of first marriages are preceded by cohabitation, and 80 to 85% of all remarriages are preceded by cohabitation. According to the National Marriage Project at Rutgers University, cohabitation is considered an offshoot of the sexual revolution that was started in the 1960s. This revolution helped to bring forth great societal changes, such as the acceptability of sex before marriage, even though men and women have been violating this law for centuries. The increase in the number of couples cohabiting may be due to a variety of reasons. However, it is best to weigh the pros and cons of the issue to decide whether or not cohabitation will aid in a healthy progression of a relationship or hinder its development. One advantage of cohabitation is the ability to test compatibility. In doing so, one is having a trial run at marriage, in a sense, because they are able to live together and learn each other's habits and character to see how they operate together. If differences occur, they are able to determine if they can compromise on certain issues or if their differences are insurmountable and they can just go their separate ways without a messy divorce. Since divorce is so prevalent in our society, many younger couples find it a suitable option because they are afraid to see themselves in the same situation as their divorced parents, and feel cohabitation gives them the best of both worlds. They are able to have a committed relationship, yet not have the constraints of marriage if things go sour. Another advantage of cohabitation is the opportunity to share living expenses. This includes everything from rent, utilities, and to food. Young couples are usually living on a tighter budget, and splitting costs can relieve the financial burden. It is often claimed that many problems in relationships stem from financial issues, and cohabiting would help to reduce tension and conflict. One last advantage is that cohabitation is appealing for older adults as well, because in many instances they have lost a spouse due to death or divorce. They still want companionship and an intimate relationship with another person, but are not willing to marry again due to the emotions underlying the death of a spouse or the pain following a divorce. These individuals often have financial benefits that could be lost if they enter into another marriage. Many couples begin cohabiting on the assumption that everything will work out and they will live happily ever after. However, in many circumstances this is not the case. USA Today cites Scott Stanley, a psychologist and author at the University of Denver, and he states that cohabitation is relationship inertia. Many people remain in relationships that they would have otherwise ended. These people feel that separating is financially impossible, or they feel they will not find anyone better. These relationships increase the chances of physical, emotional, and mental abuse. Cohabitation increases the overall rate of violence between couples, and this can lead to depression and suicide. This is just one of the disadvantages of cohabitation. Another disadvantage of cohabiting is the negative impact it has on children. Today, more than 20% of children are born to cohabiting couples. However, only about a third of those children will remain with both parents throughout childhood. This means that children born to cohabiting parents are more likely to experience disruption in family life, which can have negative consequences for their emotional and educational development. One last disadvantage of cohabitation is that couples that live together before marriage have a higher separation and divorce rate. Couples that cohabit have an 85% chance of separating, and the 45% that do marry after living together are 50% more likely to divorce than those who did not cohabit before marriage. Many changes have occurred in our society regarding cohabitation. What was once considered outside the societal norm is now an accepted practice. There are many advantages and disadvantages to cohabitation, such as the ones I mentioned earlier. Couples who are considered cohabiting should take time to weigh the different options. I hope this topic was informative, and thank you for taking time to listen.